Hello class, welcome to a room 222 Photoshop tutorial. Today's project is the tiger face project. We will be taking a human face and making it look like a tiger face. So this is my example. I used myself. The best style of face to use for this is one that is looking straight ahead and is either not smiling at all or not smiling with teeth. This project is a fairly difficult project, and you may need to try it more than once for it to look correct. So if it does take you a little bit longer, that's okay. I would rather it look good than look terrible. So we're going to pull up Photoshop here, and then I'm going to pull up the picture of myself. And you may either use a picture of yourself, or you can use a celebrity or a picture that you find on the internet. Either is fine. So here's me, and I am going to crop my picture. Okay. So first we're going to make a selection around the face. The hairline does not have to be very accurate. Okay, once I have made the selection, I'm going to go to the Select tab at the top, and I'm going to click Refine Edge. Make sure that the view is on the overlay. And then we're going to select the Smart Radius, and we're going to make the radius 7. And then we're going to use the Brush tool, so we're going to click on the brush, and we're going to use the brush tool and go around the edge of the hairline. And there it kind of blends it together. That's what we want. We're going to go to Output, and we're going to make sure it is at Selection, and we're going to click OK. Next, we're going to go back to the Select tab. We're going to go to Save Selection, and we are going to name it Face, and we're going to say OK. And then we're going to do Control D to deselect. And this saved a outline of the face. So if you go to Channels, it should be right there, which it is. So we're going to go back to Layers now. And then we're going to click at the upper right hand area of the Layers panel where there's lines and this triangle. And then we're going to select Duplicate Layer. We're going to make the document as new, and we're going to name it Displacement. Say OK. And then next we're going to go to the Filter tab, and we're going to select Blur, and we're going to select Gaussian Blur. And then it should be around 5 pixels. It can be, you can make it a little bit more blurrier if you want, or you can make it less blurrier if you want. And then we're going to say OK. We're going to go to File, Save As, and then we are going to label it Displacement as a Photoshop file, and you can save it to some place you're going to find it. I'm just going to save it to my desktop. You could do the same thing if you want, or save it to your Z drive folder, but save it somewhere where you can find it later on. And then I'm going to click Save, make sure again it's as a Photoshop file, Save, OK, and then we're going to close that file. Next, we're going to open up the tiger picture. So we're going to File, Open, under the Z drive folder, Useful Tools, Photoshop Tools and Resources, Stock Photos, Animals, and we're going to use the one labeled Tiger 2. Click OK. We're going to make a selection around the tiger's head this time, excluding the ears. Whenever you make your selection, make sure you get it around the outer edge of his whiskers. You will need that, and it will make it look better later on. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but again, make sure too that you get this like outer area because you will need that later on. So then once you have that selection, we're going to go to select again and refine edge. And again, make sure you're on the overlay feature. And we are going to click the smart radius. And we're going to get the whole way to the edge. And then you're going to make the contrast 20%. And the output layer should be new layer. And then you're going to click OK. And it's going to make a new layer out here. Now we're going to take a look at the whiskers. So then we're going to zoom into the whisker area. Control plus. We're going to go to the select tab and we're going to click color range. We're going to make sure that our selection is highlights, and it should be under selection, selection preview none, and we're going to click OK. And then now we're going to click Q on our keyboard for a quick mask, and we are going to now get rid of all of the white except for these whiskers right here. And to do that, we're going to go to our brush tool. And we need to make sure that black is in our foreground and white is in our background. And this is going to get rid of the white. If you want to bring some of the white back, you just flip these two. So now I'm going to do that. Make sure your opacity is up. And get rid of this white. Okay, so for the most part, I've got rid of most of the white surrounding the whisker area. And what I'm going to do next is click the Q again, and this will make a selection around the whiskers. We're going to go to the Select tab one more time, and click on Refine Edge again. We're going to feather it to 0.5 pixels. We're going to output it to a selection, and then we're going to click OK. We're going to click on the new layer icon to make it a new layer, and we're going to rename it Whiskers. And it should be right above the background. So Control Delete will make it white, and then we're going to hold down this right here is on this whiskers right now. So now we're going to hold down Control, and we're going to select both the whiskers and the background copy, and we are going to move it, drag and drop it onto the face with the Move tool. And we're going to make the background visible, background copy visible, and now we have our tiger face over top of our human face. Use the transform tool and the opacity tool, and we're going to resize the tiger's face over the person's face. So Control T for the transform tool, and then lower the opacity. I'm going to just use the background copy for this. I'm not going to touch the whiskers because I need to warp it. So again, Control T. And you want to line it up, or try to line it up, so that way the nose and the mouth and the eyes all line up together, which is going to be pretty difficult at times to do. Okay, that looks pretty close. So now I'm going to click enter to make it okay and bring up the opacity again. And then what I'm going to do next is create a duplicate layer of the tiger face by doing Control J. And then I'm going to name the lower section chin. And then we're going to hide it. We're going to click back up on the top layer and we're going to go to Filter tab. And we're going to click Distort and we're going to select Displace. And we're going to make the horizontal scale 5, the vertical scale 5. Should be on Stretch to Fit and repeat edge pixels. Click OK. We're going to select this displacement Photoshop project that we had saved earlier and click Open. And then we're going to change the blend mode over here to multiply. We're going to open up our channels panel. And we are going to hold down Control and select the face option. And then click the layers panel and select the layer mask option at the bottom. So now with this, I am going to add some more at the top so it fills out a little bit more. And to do this, I'm going to use the clone stamp tool. And to use the clone stamp tool, you hold down Alt on your keyboard and it will then take a clone of whatever your target is over top. And I'm going to add it. I'm also going to fill out the whisker area a little bit more down here as well. There will be more of this later on using the chin layer, but I just want to make this a little bit fuller right now. Okay, so that looks better. So now we're going to check out the eyes and the lips. So I'm going to zoom in, Control plus. You want to be on your brush tool, and it should be roughly around 30 pixels. And your hardness should be down to 0%. And then you're going to make sure you're over the layer mask, and you're going, black is in your foreground, white is in your background, and you're going to go over the eyes with the brush tool. And it should bring forth the color that was behind it. Okay, so I don't want to be able to see like my skin that well, so we're going to flip the two color blocks, and then I'm just going to go back over it. So this area right here is being a little difficult, so I'm going to move this back over to my tiger layer, and I'm going to use the clone stamp tool, and I'm just going to go over this layer and bring forth the color from around here. There we go. Perfect. So then next we're going to use the brush tool over the lips a little bit. You do not have to do this if you don't want to, but you can try and see what it looks like, and if you don't like it, then just get rid of it. So make sure that you're on your mask layer, and make sure that black is in the foreground, and you're on your brush tool. And if you go over this, you can bring forth the lips. You might want to lower the opacity some, and try going over it. I do not like it because my mouth and the tiger's mouth are not lined up really well together. So I'm going to not do it. I'm going to flip these around, and I'm just going to bring back the tiger layer. Okay, so now for the chin part, we're going to select the chin. We're going to pull it to the top, and we're going to make it visible. And then I am going to use the clone stamp tool, and I'm going to pull forth some of this area down here. So then that way I have more of a substantial tiger chin. And to do that, you want to click on the clone stamp tool, and we're going to use our Alt feature again. Click down the Alt key, and then wherever this target is, that's what it's going to copy. So you hold down Alt, you click, and then it'll copy it, and then you just click down. Okay, so now I have a more filled out picture of a tiger face. So what I'm going to do next, and you probably would have to have done this too. What I'm going to do next is make a layer, so it's going to hide the face. And then I'm going to do Control I to actually hide it, which is inverting it. And then I'm going to use my brush tool, and I'm going to make sure white is on top and black is on the bottom. And I'm going to bring forth the back, like this chin layer, as much as I want. So once I make the double, delete, Control J, I'm going to make a copy. We're then going to go to Transform, and we're going to flip it horizontal. And I'm going to move them over to the other side. Control T. They are here. And then my other whiskers, I'm going to make sure that they are where they need to be. Pull them up here. We're going to do a blend mode, and we're going to change them to soft light. Both of them. And for our chin, we can also look at that a little bit and see if you want it to be a little bit less or just keep it the way that it is. And I'm just going to lower the opacity just a tad. There we go. So it's not so dominant. Control 0, enter, Control 0. And then if we want to make the face just a little bit brighter, we're going to hold down the face mask icon, hold down Alt, and bring it to the top. And it will make the face just a tad brighter. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. I don't really like it, so I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to delete it. And so now I have my tiger face. But I want to put it onto a background, so I'm going to delete the one that I have using the quick mask, and you are going to be required to do this as well. Okay, so I have my background pretty well selected. I'm going to delete it with the background eraser. And once it looks like that it is all erased, I'm going to do Control D to deselect. And I'm going to pull up the picture that I want for the background. So I decided I want to do some sort of like urban-esque jungle. You may pick whatever background you want. If you want to use the urban jungle, you can. If you want to use something else that I have on here, or if you want to find your own, go for it. And I'm going to take the urban jungle and put it on my picture instead of the opposite. There we go. I'm going to fix up the outer edge of myself. I'm just going to use the regular eraser tool and smooth out my hair. Okay, and now my background looks more green per se than I do. So I'm going to take and use the mask feature and fix it. So we're going to start with Hue and Saturation, and I'm going to desaturate it a little, and I'm going to make it a little bit more green. Maybe lower the brightness a little bit. Control I to invert it, and then I'm going to bring forth my brush tool, and I'm going to use my brush tool to bring forth that coloring. And it will make sure again I'm on the mask tool. And I have my opacity down some. You may keep it up higher. You may lower it. Whatever you feel comfortable or will make your picture look better. I think this looks pretty good. You can always, as well, go back to your hue and saturation and adjust it from there too, if you think it still needs adjusted a tad. So now I'm going to, actually I'm going to look at this just a little. I'm going to go back to my eraser tool. Okay, so now I have my tiger face in the urban jungle. So I'm going to save it as a JPEG in the finished projects folder of your period. You will only need to do one of these again, because this will take you a while, most likely. Label it as your name. Save. If you need help, have questions, please let me know. Alright, off you go. Good luck.